All right, and we freaking did it. Welcome every night, every single one of you, all you beautiful, happy Crippen Grats and Gits. We are here for a live stream. Super excited to be spending this Friday evening or Friday afternoon with all you guys. We got a very suspicious name of the very first commenter. Looks very similar to Enocide. What's up, baby? Good to see you, man. Nice little dinosaur mouth there. I love it. So the point of tonight's stream is I am going to be I'm currently preparing for a golden ticket event that my goal is to go win. And what I figured is, hey, I should let all of you guys know what my process is to prepare for a tournament, because I know I've heard from a bunch of clients and I've heard from a bunch of people in the Discord that this is a subject that sometimes people are just like, hey, how do you optimize your list for X tournament? Or how do you determine which faction to bring to a tournament? So I'm just going to walk you through my entire step. So this tournament is in 2 weeks. It's going to be in the northern portion of Norway. We do have a golden ticket available for it, and I'm trying to figure out what army I want to bring. And I am looking forward to figuring it out with your help. So I got a poll for y'all. Let me hear what you guys think. I got 4 army options. I want to hear what you guys say as we go on along here, and we'll start walking through this here player pack. All right, guys. So let's get going. This is the Nidaros GT. We're going to have about, I think, 82 people at the tournament, which is going to be freaking sick. It is a 3-day GT. We're going to have 6 events, or 6 rounds. And we got to win all of them, baby. We got to win all of them. So, guys, as this live stream goes on, if you guys have questions about my methods, about how I'm preparing, type it in the chat, man. I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you guys. We see Niji in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you. And we're going to break all this down. So it's 3 games, or 6 games. We're going to have the first one on Friday night, 3 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday, so that we can get the heck out of Dodge. So I'll just go quickly through what the layouts and stuff are, and some of the peculiarities of a player pack, which I think you guys definitely need to pay attention to when you're looking for your own player packs. So game 1, it's going to be layout 6, linchpin, and tipping point. But if you take a look, this is a very different layout 6 than what you might be used to. So if we look right here, and I don't have a marker, but if we look at this objective in the center, or the ruin that's in the center, this objective is actually closed off on the side that it's typically open on, which can immediately let me know that for this tournament in particular, even on these shooting-centric maps, I'm going to have really good melee staging points, which immediately clues me in that this is a map where I can play melee armies, which makes me excited. Makes me really excited because, you know, if you guys know anything about me, you know that I absolutely love freaking melee armies. So there you have it. Guys, if you're having a problem with volume, I'm looking at my volume right now. It is up. I should be able to be heard perfectly fine. So make sure you check your audio soundings. You might need to use headphones. I'm not sure. So don't know. Hopefully that works out for you. Okay, so that's a really important detail. So whenever you're checking your player packs, always make sure to look at those ruins, because that's going to give you a super, super heads up as to exactly what types of armies are going to be super useful on any given player pack. So there we go. So melee loves this. Round number 2, we got Hammer Vanville GW8 taking hold. This is like the melee players, you know, sorry to be crass, but wet dream. This is a pretty freaking amazing map for melee armies. As a matter of fact, if I play my Dark Angels here, it's basically unbeatable on this map. So very, very, very strong melee staging map. So now I'm already getting an inclination that at least for the first 2 maps, melee armies are going to be really happy. Layout 6 isn't traditionally a great melee map, but because of this central ruin, guys, it becomes a much more melee favored. And by the way, this evening's live stream is not sponsored by Guinness, but if Guinness would like to be a sponsor, we love you, Guinness. It is 8 o'clock where I am, so if you're in the States, it's not 2 o'clock. Don't judge me yet. All right, so game number 3. We got Terrain Layout 2, Crucible Battle, and Purge the Foe. Crucible Battle is interesting. Not the most melee friendly, but you do have great staging points. So if you're looking at a melee army that happens to be speedy, this is a pretty solid map for it, like Blood Angels, for example. Otherwise, shooting armies are generally going to be very, very happy with this particular map. All right, got it. So this is either speedy melee or shooting army. That's in my cap. And guys, afterwards, I'm going to go through how to actually deploy on it. So after I'm done with this part, I'll go through how to actually deploy on it. I'll go through like which armies wanted to play on, etc., all those things. So you'll get all the time in the world to ask all the questions that you have about how to move certain units of the maps and all that. Then game number 4, we got Search and Destroy on Scorched Earth on Layout 2. Now this is a extremely melee-centric map. Scorched Earth, 18-inch deployment zones, crazy central staging ruin, very easy natural staging point where you can get to your opponent's natural expansion. I will give more details on that in a moment when I start deploying on it for you. And then we get into the weird maps. This is going to be Layout 7, Take and Hold, Tipping Point. Not particularly weird, but once again, a very melee-friendly map. And then we have game number 6, which is GW7 on Crucible of Battle Terraform. I have never played GW7 on Crucible of Battle, so this is we'll see. But anyway, that's what we have working for us at this tournament. I know all the big players in Norway are going to be there. We've got basically the entire WTC team will be participating. It will be a Shark Tank. So I have some inclination of what the armies that I need to be prepared for are. And that's what we're looking at. All right, so I'm going to go to CTSU, and we're going to start actually prepping what armies can deploy and what armies can't deploy on these maps, because that is the big thing that I like to focus on. When I look at Warhammer, I go, there are infinite amounts of ways that these games can actually play out on the tabletop. And there's lots of really, really good players. I don't try to counter players. Instead, I try to build the army that's going to function the best on the layouts. Does that make sense? If I build an army to counter specific players, well, I can always get, outpaired from another player. Instead, I like to build an army that is specifically designed to play for the maps and the missions. That's my secret sauce, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. So if you watched my video earlier this week, the very first deployment that I did was on, I already kind of did my practice on my deployment for GW6. Now this is GW6 in Tipping Point. And I already kind of showed a significant amount of this deployment. But I'm just going to quickly kind of go through some of the other ones. I showed you guys how the Custodes and how the Blood Angels deploy in my video from earlier this week. If you didn't watch it, go watch it, because I'll demonstrate all my rules for you there as well. But I'm going to go ahead and do the deployment for how the Orcs and how the Dark Angels would deploy on a map like this. And just so you guys understand my method of determining what army I'm going to probably bring, what I'm going to do is after I do a deployment on a map, I'm going to take a little mark. And Blood Angels deploy quite well on GW7 Tipping Point, particularly when this ruin right here, this one, because remember, in this player pack, from what I just showed you guys, this is actually closed off right here, which makes this map very, very, very different. This being closed off means that this is a brilliant staging ruin. So Blood Angels like deploying on this map, and honestly, so did the Solar Spearhead. Solar Spearhead like deploying on this map. So now I'm going to go ahead and do it for the Orcs and for the Dark Angels, and we're going to kind of figure out how that works. So just looking for the stat through the chat, I see some of you guys are really you love the Custodes. I see people saying Blood Angels. Yep, fair. Blood Angels are dope. The problem with Blood Angels is I see it in the meta right now. I actually love Blood Angels. Big fan. I think they're incredibly strong. They are still weak into Satan. And while Satan are not going to be the menaces of the meta like that they were, because they're just very expensive now, Blood Angels are still on the struggle bus against them, unless you're running the Assault Centurions, which, fair play, Assault Centurions are pretty amazing in Liberated Assault Group. But that causes problems with other builds. So it's iffy. They're great into almost everyone except for those guys. Orcs. I like Orcs a lot. Orcs are just nerve-wracking, man. You have bad turn, and that's the game. there's nerve-wracking right now, because while the army is not bad, it's definitely a little undertuned compared to a lot of the other armies out there. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a great play. So let's go ahead and show you how I would probably deploy the Orcs on this map, and we'll see if the Orcs would work well here. So what I'm going to do is I'll have one Knob Squad, and they'll be inside a Battle Wagon. I'll have a unit of Beast Nagas inside the other Battle Wagon. So we'll kind of do it like this. I'm going to have a War Boss, of course, and a War Boss with 5 knobs right here with the Beast Nagas. I'm going to have Gretchen with the knobs inside the second Battle Wagon. I'm going to have Gretchen inside the truck as well. And this is probably how I basically want to deploy the army. So on the table, I'm going to have just these units starting on. The commandos will be split, typically will be split into 2 units of 5. Now, there are times where I actually leave the commandos together, and I'll show you what they are. So when we look at this map, the very first thing that we have to identify when we're looking at a table like this is we have to look at our staging points. If you guys know what staging points are, this is what a staging point is, okay? A staging point is where can you stand safely, yet you're still able to exert your influence on the tabletop or on the battlefield. So just reading chat here, I see that we have a question about what detachment ID you're running for orcs. Definitely the Warhorde. Definitely Warhorde. For sure, without a doubt. So on this map, I have a couple staging points. And this is something I do every single time. So all of you guys, trust me, take this to the freaking bank. This will serve you so well. This is a staging point. The reason why this is a staging point is because I can put my models in this corner, perfectly safe from shooting. No, I mean, obviously not if your opponent moves all the way up here, but if your opponent moves all the way up here, they've either overextended or you've already lost, so it doesn't matter. But from here, they can't shoot you. From here, they can't shoot you. So you're safe to stand here, and you can still easily extend your influence on this objective and on this objective. So you can still extend your influence upon the battlefield from standing here. Now, in this particular GW6, because this wall will be closed off on this tournament, this will also be a staging point, which is very cool. Because typically on GW6, you can't stand here because it's wide open. Your opponent will just shoot the crap out of you and you die. But on our GW6, just because of the peculiarities of the terrain set for this tournament, it is closed, which is a very, very big fat deal. So this becomes a staging point. Then this right here would become what I would like to call affectionately a conditional staging point. So I'm going to use a different token to denote that. Dagnabbit. A different token to denote that is a conditional staging point. The condition being, am I comfortable getting shot from this angle? Because it is closed off to most of the map, but it's not closed off to this particular angle. So if I'm comfortable getting blasted from this angle, then this becomes a staging point as well. Okay, so that being said, deployment becomes really easy now. Because what you do is you go, okay, cool. I also know my opponent's going to be deploying here and here and here, or moving here, here, and here. So then you just plug in the algorithm. If I have to get here, where do I have to deploy to be there? You deploy right here. And we be a little bit smarter about it, right? So we make sure we basically hide our unit so that we can't get blasted like crazy in turn one. And if you guys are orc players, you feel my pain with how it is to deploy these guys. Not hard per se, but it does take finagling. And so what I do is I'll just draw my lines here, be like, can you shoot me from this angle? All right, cool. So I'm good to go there and from here. Now, when I draw how far my opponent can come up the board, I typically, what I like to do is I like to choose 10 inches. Because if I come here, the standard movement of your battle tank in 40k, whether it's going to be like a predator or anything like that, is going to be 10 inches. Some tanks can go up to 12 inches. So if you want to be safe when you're drawing your lines to see where you can get shot from, draw 12 inches. And as long as I'm not touching that red line, my opponent won't be able to see me turn one. Now, sure, if you're playing Gladius and they have access to advance and shoot, that could change. But listen, you have to play the game off of some standards. You can't just play based off of, oh, my opponents could do anything. That's just not a good way to set yourself up for success. So Gaz's squad is going to go effectively right here because basically, without a doubt, guaranteed, they're coming here turn one. And no matter what happens, whether I go first or second, I'm moving them right here. Just the way it's going to be. I'm going to have one battle wagon. That's going to be creeping up this battlefield. So he's going to deploy right here. Once again, we can draw the line on this side just like we did it the other way. So if you want to be super safe, draw for a 12-inch. As long as I'm not touching that line, opponent can't see me turn one. Battle wagon can easily get to the objective here, or it can go up this side. My other battle wagon, I actually put it right here. Now, this might come as a surprise to some people. Some people might say, hey, that battle wagon is completely exposed. Yeah, but it's only completely exposed from this one angle. That's the thing. When you're running things like battle wagons, a lot of the times you can't hide them. Sure, I could maybe deploy the battle wagon right here, but that's going to be a trick, and then I don't have anywhere to deploy Gaz. Now, it's possible I could get away with hiding Gaz completely behind this wall and then advance him up into the position. This is a possibility. So if I did that, this is what this would look like. The problem with this is I would have to be able to make sure I can... Actually, this might just be a better option. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have just solved my dilemma here. Yeah, okay. Gaz will just deploy back here. Okay, never mind, guys. I was wrong. I'm just going to deploy it like this. This makes it much easier to deploy everyone. I'm safe from shooting turn one. It makes life really, really good. Yep, all right. So Gaz will deploy like this, and then turn one, I just advance them up into the little pocket. All right, problem solved. The rest of them, I'm just going to crawl back here. One truck. Truck is going to be full of Gretchen. The truck being full of Gretchen, and I do not have these wrecking balls on my trucks because it gives too much of a line of sight. Truck goes in the center. The reason why I like my truck in the center is because if I go first, my Gretchen can get out of the truck and they can automatically touch. They can go ahead and disembark 3 inches, move 6 inches, touch the center objective, do a cleanse, do whatever. And the second my Gretchen disembark from the truck and go into the center, I'll take my 2 units of flash kits, who are going to deploy somewhere around here, and they're just going to advance and charge, or just advance inside the truck. So this way, it gives me 2 extra drops, so I can kind of like get more information about my opponent. 1 unit of Gretchen start on the home field. I know this is sloppy. I'll clean it up in real life. Storm Boys actually should be in deep strike, so let me throw those in deep strike. And then the last question that we have to ask ourselves about this deployment is, do our commandos turn into 2 units of 5 or 1 unit of 10? So 2 units of 10 or 2 units of 5 gives you better board control. It gives you the ability to say start over here, and it gives you the ability to say start right here and immediately go out to your opponent's natural expansion, get a tempting target, things like that. 1 unit of 10 gives you the ability to block your opponent's infiltrators. So if I am playing against Tau, for example, and everyone knows that Montcaw Tau is a total nightmare to play against because they go so fast when they go turn 1, they can just completely ruin your entire game. What I would do is if I get to deploy these guys first, I will deploy them across the entire board central, and I'll get these little circles to show you, so that my opponent cannot use his infiltrators and his scout moves in any reasonable position on the battlefield. So if I do it like this, I can effectively put a stop to my opponent's infiltrators and their scout moves, which could blunt an army that relies on those infiltrators and scout moves. So there are reasons, and this is why I would actually keep the commandos together. Otherwise, I would separate them into 2 units of 5 to give myself just more general board presence. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. All right. We got Jack Pat, finally caught you live. Thanks for all you do for the community. Hey, man, I appreciate that. I love helping the community. I want you guys all to be incredibly good at Warhammer. Like that's the goal. For those of you guys who don't know, and I'm so much more passionate about Warhammer than most people realize, I actually use Warhammer as like a testing grounds and a learning ground for my entire life. Lessons that I learn in Warhammer, I apply to business. I apply to when I was in debt with the government and I had to fix my taxes. I'll tell you that story later, but I actually learned lessons from Warhammer, which helped me get out of trouble. I learned lessons from Warhammer on how to actually communicate more effective in my marriage, which is hilarious. Like, I actually take lessons from Warhammer and I apply it to business principles. I apply it everywhere else. And I really have, I've been given so much in my life just from lessons that I've learned from playing Warhammer and analyzing it seriously. And also from people that I've met through the community. Man, I remember a couple years back, I was getting ready to be deported from Norway due to when the Ukrainian refugees were being thrust into Norway, and my family visa was taking too long to process, so Norway was actually threatening to deport me. But there's a gentleman that I met through Warhammer who actually worked for the Department of Immigration and fixed my paperwork so I didn't get deported. Like, the Warhammer community and the game itself has just given me so much. I've been able to learn so much from it that I'm really passionate about it, and I really, really love helping you guys just get better at this freaking game. It's awesome. And I like spending my Friday nights drinking Guinness and hanging out with you guys. So effectively, this is what a good orc deployment on GW2 looks like. So what I'm going to tell you guys is that this is a great freaking deployment. I don't care if I go second. If I go second, I'm not getting shot anywhere. I mean, sure, these guys will die, but that's like their entire purpose is to die. I would only keep them in one big block if I had to block a lot of infiltrators and scout moves. Otherwise, I'd separate them into 2, and I'd probably have them in places where they don't necessarily die. Like, I'd have one behind this wall, and I'd have this squad behind this wall where they don't necessarily just die if they get shot. So that's how I would handle the commandos. But other than that, if I go second, I'm not getting shot. If I go first, I'm going exactly where I'm going anyway. Moving on up here, Gretchen are going to hop out of this truck, just so you guys can visualize. I'll go ahead and do that for you. Gretchen are going to hop out, and they're going to go touch this objective. What the Gretchen do on this objective is that they force your opponent to actually put themselves in position to kill the Gretchen. Both flash kits will hop inside the truck, so now I've got all my flash kits inside of truck. Battle wagon will immediately start advancing up the flank. Gaz will advance the stage. And now I have everyone in really, really good positions. Yes, this battle wagon is exposed. My opponent's going to shoot it. I fully expect my opponent to shoot this battle wagon. But what I am doing here is I am staging myself for a turn 2 Wah. Oh, geez, that was abysmal. So Gaz's squad is all going to cram into this, and they're going to also be behind a little bit. I'm not going to bother sorting it out. You guys understand what's happening. I'm going here when I go in my turn 1, no matter what. My battle wagon's going up no matter what. This battle wagon's going up no matter what. I'll be in a position where my opponent will have to kill this battle wagon, and they'll have to kill this battle wagon, and they'll have to kill all the guys on the inside to have a chance of surviving my Wah. Because no matter what happens, Gaz is going to Wah, and he's going to go. I'm going to use Here We Go on him. I've got the Big Mech with Follow Me Lads with him. That unit is going 15 inches on average. He can't be move blocked, and he will kill any 4 units that he connects with. So if they don't pop both battle wagons, and a battle wagon on average requires 21 las cannon shots to pop, because you always give it Ard case to give it T12, you're basically forcing your opponent to full commit in turn 1. And whenever you do that, you're giving your opponent the opportunity to screw up, which really, really pressures people. So anyway, what I would say for this particular map, the orcs have a good deployment. And now that I've explained to you guys the rules of like how I deploy, can I go first? Can I go second? Can I deploy safely? These will go a little bit faster for you. I'll do the Dark Angels really quickly for you right now, and then we'll go on to the next map, and the others will go a little bit faster. And by the way, if you guys have questions about deployment rules or deployment theories, man, please pop it in the chat. I'm here. I might, while I'm talking, I might like miss it for a few seconds, but I'll catch up, and I'll definitely get back to the questions here. And if you're like afraid that because like you don't have money to super chat or anything, don't worry about it, man. I love super chats. I really appreciate them, but I'm gonna respond to you guys anyway. I might miss 1 or 2 here, but super chats are welcome, but they're not necessary. I do this stuff because I love you guys, and I want everyone to get better at this game that we all love and adore. So Desolation Marines, standing in the backfield. Super, super happy with that. Deathwing Knights, starting in reserves with my turn 1 Deep Strike. Azrael and crew is going to deploy right around here. Because on this table, Azrael and crew can stage in the center, which is absolutely awesome. There's no lines of sight that your opponent can grab that can shoot me turn 1. Maybe they might be able to grab this one, so let's see. All right, so there is a line. There is no line there. Let's see. Can our opponent grab this line? Nope. So they can't grab that line. So as long as I am not, so they can't grab that line because it would be running through the table. So I'm perfectly safe. Azrael and crew could just deploy there and not worry about getting shot. I like to start 1 squad of Deathwing Knights on the table, either here, put this back, or I would start them here and advance them up. But I'm probably going to start this squad over here. I'm going to have 1 squad of Inceptors, also in reserves. I got 1 Gladiator Lancer, staging here. 1 squad of Scouts, and my Scouts will deploy right here, and they'll move 6 inches up. Because from this position, I'm just going to move my orcs out of the way now. Because from this position, the Scouts, if I go first, they can scout forward and go do shenanigans. If I go second, they just scout backwards, and they're perfectly safe, and I don't lose anyone. All right? Then I'll look at the Lion L. Johnson, who can deploy right out in the middle, because he is going to be lone hopped. I got 1 Callous Assassin hanging back. I got 1 Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, probably hanging out roughly here. Fully prepared to go to touch the objective. Now, a lot of people, this is a trick, they like to deploy their Combi Lieutenant like on an objective. Don't do that. You're giving up Storm Hostile Objective, and you're giving up overwhelming force in turn 1. Just don't freaking do that. Start your Combi Lieutenant safe, even though he is lone op, in position to move into the center. It's just a much better trick. Also, on this particular map, this is actually really funny and cool, because I can put Azrael in the corner of this building, or I can have the Combi Lieutenant standing here. If I ever rapid ingress the Lion, I could actually rapid ingress him onto the center objective within 3 inches of an infantry squad, so he could rapid ingress with lone up, which is actually freaking sick. It's absolutely awesome. Johnny 5477 Warhammer Marriage Lesson. If things go sideways, you can always fall back into your transport. My man, how did you know? Thanks for the super chat, buddy. That's awesome. I appreciate you. That's really funny. That's hilarious. All right, so Juan Lu Morales has a question. How do you choose which objective to deploy Azrael plus the ICC versus the 5 Deathwing Knights? Like, do you put the ICC in the middle always? Okay, yes. More or less, the answer is yes. It gets a little more detailed than that, but basically the whole thing with the ICC in this army, and this isn't a Dark Angel stream, but whatever. I'm gonna answer the question. You guys are here. I love you. I'm happy to help. The whole point of the ICC being here is that this is your freaking hammer in the list. A lot of people think that Deathwing Knights are hammers. Deathwing Knights are not hammers. They are anvils. The ICC and Azrael is your hammer, so they are positioned to provide the support where you need the support. So when the 20-man strong squad of Necron Warrior Blob just pops up, they're the ones who go and kill it. And they don't one-tap it, but they kill like 18 of the 20 models. So if you can throw grenades first, you'll kill it. They're the squad that will go pick up the baby knight or the big knight by themselves. They are the squad. So just like treat them as your Escanor. But the thing is, they're not as durable as the Deathwing Knights. So I don't really care if my opponent wants to be shooting my Deathwing Knights with, like, I don't know, anti-elite infantry shooting. It doesn't bother me. I just don't care. Their job is just to hold the objective, and if your opponent tries to out-OC you, you just Leonine aggression into them, and then you hold the objective. And then if they out-OC you in the next command phase after you've killed a bunch of them, you spend 1 CP to give yourself +1 OC. This is the objective, my opponent's natural. This is the one where I want to turn 1 deep strike my boys. Now, the peculiarities of deep striking on this objective is actually interesting. I wouldn't want to drop them right here. If I drop them right here, my opponent can see them across the board and just focus fire everything into them. Ideally, I would drop them right here if I went first. Now, this might not be possible due to, you know, your opponent being deployed there, but I'm just telling you guys what the ideal would be for a turn 1 deep strike. And then what you would do is you do everything in your power to get as close as possible to that turn 1 ideal. It's possible that you even just deep strike like this, because like this is a generally good way to get exposure, to get into the position. And if he's not blocking you, then you could do it like that. Of course, if there's a model standing here, you won't be able to deep strike like that, but you do the best you can, like we said. Okay. This is a great place to deploy your Deathwing Knights, because the only way they can attack you is from right here or by charging onto you. And if they charge onto you, you of course rapid ingress of the lion, blah, blah, blah. The key to this army is understanding that this turn 1 deep striking units, their job is not to survive. You don't have to survive, guys. What you got to do is just deny your opponent's primary. I don't care if this unit never kills anything. I don't care if they get killed after 1 turn. As long as they denied your opponent's primary once, they've done their job. Because in this army, Wrath of the Rock, it's almost impossible to ever take me off my natural expansion. Because anyone who wants to charge, like if Gaz wants to charge into it, no problem. I'm going to rapid ingress and heroic intervene with the lion. And I'm going to kill over half the squad in the first go. They might actually even be able to push through the Deathwing Knights. They probably won't, but they might be able to. And then I have the hammer to come through and kill them. And then there's literally nothing the Orcs player could ever do to deal with this objective anymore. At that point, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold this. My opponent can't hold this because I'll deny it, which puts me on a 5-point lead, which means he's screwed. Which means the only way he can make it up is to try to finish this unit off. But remember, the lion's just going to end up deep striking, rapid ingressing back to support, or by coming and taking to the center. And if they try to come and take the center, it's really easy to kill him. You don't even have to try. You just do. So that's the way the army operates. So don't worry about keeping the squad alive too long. You don't want to lose them in the first turn you drop them, but their job isn't to survive. Don't put lots of resources into making them make it till round 5. Their job is just to deny the primary. Okay, that was probably a long, too in-depth explanation. But anyway, the point is, yeah, Dark Angels can deploy quite well on this map. With one caveat, actually, no, I'm going to give a caveat. I'm going to say this is actually okay deployment for the Dark Angels. And the reason why I'm going to say an okay is because I'm about to show you what a good deployment for the Dark Angels looks like. This is a good staging point here. This is an okay staging point. This is an okay staging point. Not a great one. I'm about to show you on the next map what a good staging point looks like. So let's take these models off, and I'm going to go ahead and up to the next one. Is this helpful, everyone? Let me know in the chat. I want to know. Type down like if this is actually helpful for you guys. If me going through my thought process on how I actually look at deployments is actually helpful for you guys. I want to know, because I think this is really, really valuable, because this is my process. This literally will tell me what army I'm going to run at the tournament. So mission number 2 is going to be Hammer and Anvil, and it'll be GW8. Guinness break. Okay, let's take a look. See here. Bass Bro Effect with a $20 super chat. Here's one on me. Cheers to you, my friend. You beautiful, beautiful man. I greatly appreciate you. I actually have a really cool thing that's coming up on the channel soon. We're having a pretty cool new offer. You're gonna be included in it. Just a heads up. I'm excited to announce it, and you're definitely on the invite list. Okay. Trusty Oid says, do you ever play Chaos Knights or Imperial Knights, and do you enjoy the playstyle? If so, why or why not? Yeah, I think they're fine. I think Imperial Knights is cool. I don't particularly like playing Chaos Knights. It's just not fun for me. All right, so let's look at GW8. So you guys, if you guys know any of my Dark Angels content, you know that this is basically like the auto win map for me. But I will go through it because it's important that everyone understands how deployment works. And that is the entire point of this stream. I want you guys to understand how deployment works and how deployment will affect how you decide to play your tournament. So what's the first thing we do when we look at a map? Everyone needs to be saying we identify our staging points. That's what I need to be hearing people say. So on this map, our staging points are simple. This is a staging point because I can stand here. As a matter of fact, I can actually even stand on my own objective, and I can't be shot, yet I can still extend my influence upon the battlefield. This is clearly, oh geez, oh no, what have I done? How did I do that? I have no idea how I actually just did that. All right, I gotta rewind time. Sorry, that was annoying. I think I copy and pasted the freaking objective marker. That was bizarre. So this is, well, this is rewinding time and fixing the map because I was just a silly bear. These staging points are what determine your deployment zone because once you identify where you have to go, you'll know how to get there. So this is another staging point. Your opponent could shoot you from this angle, but if they're going to be shooting you from this angle, that means they are exposing themselves to you. So it might be okay for them to shoot you from this angle at times. The other staging point on this map is one that I would refer to as a conditional staging point. So let me grab a different token right here. The condition being, I can actually stage on my opponent's natural expansion on this objective. The condition being, my opponent will have to cross this line. If you look at that line, that's a huge, huge line. And your opponent has to put themselves in a really bad position if they want to stage here. So Dark Angels, very, very simple. This is where, in an ideal world, I turn one Deep Strike. If I turn one Deep Strike here with this squad, the game is already over. Because if my opponent wants to shoot this squad dead, they have to cross this line. If they cross that line, they're about to get lit up by a Gladiator Lancer who is 100% safe. Right? So let's say a Rogue Doran crosses this line to shoot my Deathwing Knights. It's going to kill one Deathwing Knight, maybe two at the max. And then my Lancer's going to pop it, and then my Deathwing Knights will go finish it off. You also cannot hold this objective if I have these Deathwing Knights on it. They're led by an Ancient, which gives me an OC of 12, maybe 10 if I only have these guys on it. Okay, great. Then, if we are in engagement range, I'll be able to give them an extra OC from the stratagem. But even so, even if my opponent has crazy OC, there's literally not enough physical space for them to get more OC than that. And even if they can, let's say it's Gretchen, I can just Leonine aggress into you in your turn. So it's going to be physically impossible for your opponent to ever hold their natural expansion. And let's say you're playing against, I don't know, World Eaters or Victrix Honor Guard, and they want to charge this squad. No problem. You simply rapid ingress and heroic intervene with a Lionel Johnson, and then you fight first and murder whatever unit charges this squad, which means this is a beautiful staging point on this map. So I'm just going to really, really quickly do our Dark Angels deployment. These guys obviously don't deploy here, but this is the ideal place for them to to deep strike turn one, which means your scouts have to deploy in order to secure the landing zone. And actually what I've done is I've actually taken my Phobos Lieutenant because I had to change them for points, and I started deploying my Phobos Lieutenant here instead because he can secure this landing zone just as well as the Scout Squad can. But he has a smaller profile and he's 15 points cheaper, so he makes the army list work with the Azrael point cost increase. So I put my Phobos Lieutenant here. He can also scout to get off of the objective, so you don't give up a Storm hostile objective or an overwhelming force turn one if you go second. Scouts probably going to start roughly here. Then I'm going to have these Deathwing Knights obviously in reserves. Plasma Inceptors in reserves. Commulinet's going to start somewhere here. This squad of Deathwing Knights is going to start right here. And the reason for that is on this particular map, there's a great line. And this is the line. That's the shooting line. All you got to do is not be touching that line, and your opponent literally can't shoot you. Even though it looks like you're out in the open, there's no way for them to be shooting you unless they're just irrationally fast. An Eldar vehicle could probably make it happen, but like Imperial Guard can't. They'd have to come all the way up here. And if they want to come all the way up here to shoot you, they're about to get lit the hell up by whatever drops down or, you know, the lion. So if they want to put a Rogue Adorn right here, great, you win. No problem. Obviously, Desolation's hanging out right here, which leaves just Azrael's crew. And there's a Calidus somewhere. I forgot where she is. Azrael's group just deploys right here. And then turn 1, they're going to advance to stand right in the center. And that's your deployment. This is an example of the 100% perfect, most ideal deployment. No matter what happens, you're sitting great. Turn 1, you're on this objective. Even if your Deathwing Knights don't get a good advance, they're going to be right next to the scouts, which means if anyone wants to charge into your scouts, you're going to heroic intervene with the Deathwing Knights. Your Phobos Lieutenant has secured the landing zone, meaning your opponent can't put infiltrators here. This would be your first drop in this scenario, so that if you go first, you do get to turn 1 drop your Deathwing Knights. If you go second, you just drop your Deathwing Knights right here, and you get ready to advance and charge onto his objective in turn 2. Lancers deployed to kill whatever pops up to shoot the Deathwing Knights. The Lion is immediately going to reserves like he always will, and the ICC will go into the center of the stage. This is a beautiful deployment. It's absolutely brutal and as close to unbeatable a deployment as one can get, I think. Okay, let's do one on the other side. What do you guys want to see? Do we want to see Custodes deployment? Let's see. Yeah, let's take a look at a Custodes deployment this time around. All right, quick Guinness break. Let's see. Johnny5477 said he needed to super chat $20 because that's how much one beer costs in Norway. Dude, you're not freaking wrong. Norway is unreasonably expensive. I can't. It's shocking. It's actually the cheapest place in the world to buy Warhammer, which is so bizarre because like a freaking haircut costs $50 and a beer costs your left kidney and potentially your firstborn child. Cool. All right, let's do one for Solar Spearhead. But let's do that on the let's do this one right here as well. So Solar Spearhead, everything's exactly the same, guys. You've got the exact same staging points. This is a staging point. This is a staging point. This is a staging point. Of course, this is your conditional. If I want to get to these places, I have to be deployed to get to these places, right? Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought, it's going to be hanging out right here. This is the line that your opponent can draw, so you just deploy behind the line so you can't get shot. Caladius Gravity Tank. Caladius Gravity Tank. Well, I put one Contemptor Achilles in reserves. I put one Big Telemon right here. One Big Telemon right here. If I were to draw this line from here, I think I can get a Telemon here. Not quite. So Telemon can't deploy there, but we can a Venerable Contemptor. Put a unit of Witch Seekers with their scout right here. They're just going to scout forward, so they're not in any danger of getting shot. Put a unit of Witch Seekers with scout deployed, basically, call it here. They're also just going to deploy scout forward to make sure that there's no reason to worry about that. Prosecutors in the back. One prosecutor, I don't know, somewhere else. This Venerable going to go in the center. And the other Telemon is likely going to go roughly right about here. And he'll be advancing. Actually, he'll probably deploy here. And he'll be advancing up top. So from right here, no one can be seen. Potentially your opponent can move up here to see this. But if your opponent wants to do long-range shooting to kill a Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought, that's awesome because the Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought is going to come back to life anyway, which means I'm going to light you the hell up with 2 Caladius Gravity Tanks in return for you not killing a unit. These Witch Seekers are scouting forward, so my opponent's not shooting them. So if I go second, I'm perfectly happy. I don't care. These girls just scout forward. They'll be perfectly safe. He can't be seen. The only thing that could possibly be seen in turn 1 is going to be this single Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought. And if my opponent wants to expose something significant enough to kill them, that's freaking great, because then I'll pop the crap out of them with my Gladius Scrap Tanks, and I'll get first blood. If I go first, I get to very easily stage wherever I need to stage. I can even pull up right here. Remember, this is actually pretty safe right here. Your opponent can't see me from right there. See this line? Gladius Scrap Tank probably doesn't move. Scrap Tank probably doesn't move. Contemptor Dreadnought moves on up. In this detachment, you get +2 OC, so he's got OC 5 along with the Witch Seekers, so they've got plenty of OC. This guy also is going to advance up to stage, and he's probably going to be staging right about here. This guy either replaces over here, or I spend a CP to let him walk through the wall and just move right about there. Now, I'm feeling pretty, man. So this is a great deployment. I am controlling this objective. I have so much OC and threat for this objective. I control the firing lanes. These guys in the center are able to walk into the center and shoot or charge wherever they want to charge. Because of Solar Spearhead, you get the ability to walk through walls with your dreads. This is another really great deployment. So I'm just going to go up here, and I'm going to demonstrate that these were great deployments for number round 2. So Solar Spearhead actually has 2 great deployments already. I'm going to give the second great deployment. Remember, the first one on the first map was an okay deployment for Deckers use. The second one is a best deployment. Orcs like this map as well. And Blood Angels love this map. The reason being, because all the deployments are going to be relatively the same here. Melee stage here, score points, melee go fast, charge kill stuff. Melee go fast, control, things try to shoot, they don't kill, melee go fast, kill. That's the way the map goes. Now, the next map is going to be the very first, like, how do I say, great melee map, right? So the next one is going to be, I think it's GW2 on Crucible. And this is where things start to get a little bit tricky for me. So let's remove these models, and I'm going to go on into it. By the way, how many of you guys are freaking excited about 11th? Like, for real, how many of y'all are super pumped up about 11th edition? Because I am freaking pumped up for 11th edition. I cannot wait to see it, man. Every single rule I've seen has just seemed so freaking cool. I think it's hilarious when I hear people crying that, oh, shooting is dead, it's only a melee edition, and then suddenly GW just drops the bomb that, oh, actually, you have 8-inch deep strikes, when you still require 9 inches to charge out of it. An 8-inch deep strike is so much harder to strain than a 9-inch deep strike. Like, shooting armies are going to absolutely love 8-inch deep strikes. That is so powerful for shooting. Not to mention, they told us that Melta fans are in for a huge surprise, and all Melters are getting a lot better in the last article as well. So, shooting armies are getting something really cool. Melee armies are getting something real cool. I am so pumped up for 11th, man. I'm freaking psyched. And I've loved 10th edition. I thought 10th edition was great. My initial concerns were that 11th was going to be like becoming an even better competitive game, but erasing some of like the goofiness and the soul of the game, if you will. And it looks like that's not the case at all. Like, they're making it goofier and more interesting, and it doesn't look like they're doing any damage to the great competitive strides that 10th edition's made. So I'm so psyched. I'm just so freaking amped about it. Yeah, man, that's cool to hear. All right, so I see Genocide out there. He's like, yeah, 11th is gonna rock. 11 sounds like a lot of fun from Bloodstone Fortress. Yeah, man, I just think it sounds like so much damn fun. Okay, cool. So GW2 Crucible Battle. This is more of a shooting army, but what's the very first thing that we do whenever we deploy on a map? We have to identify the staging points. It doesn't matter what army I'm staging with. This is a staging point because I can safely deploy from shooting, and I'm able to extend my influence on the battlefield from here, right? This is a staging point as well. I'm able to extend my influence on the battlefield, and I'm safe from shooting. This is kind of a staging point as well. Not as much, but it's kind of one. If you're fast, so if you're, say, a jump pack army, this is a staging point that is pretty reasonably good. Right? This is not a staging point. So I hear some of my clients, when I give them this homework initially, they'll tell me, oh, they'll come back like, oh, so this is a stage point, but it's not. Not for melee units, at least. The reason for that is, yes, you are safe from your enemy shooting, but you're not able to extend your influence on the battlefield. You're not threatening a charge from here. You're not threatening damage from here. There is an exception for some shooting units. So a Gladiator Lancer, however, could stage here, because that Gladiator Lancer could move on up here and then blast or blast. So this could be considered a staging point for a Lancer, but you would never consider this a staging point for ICC, for example. Does that make sense? Are you guys grasping this concept of like, are you guys understanding this concept of staging and why it's so vital? It's because when you get the staging point down, you know how you have to deploy. You have to deploy things in order to get here. You have to deploy things to get here. You have to deploy things to get here. It kind of is that simple. So, what army should I do this one with? I'm just gonna cut to the chase because I already know. Blood Angels like this deployment a lot more than other armies. Dark Angels actually like this deployment as well. But the reason why the Blood Angels like this deployment so much is because, oh, geez. Why can't I not use my brain right now? The reason why your Blood Angels like this deployment so much is because they're fast. They have all the speed in the world. So if I have my 6-man Sanguinary Guard squad and I'm standing right next to with Dante, I can get in this ruin, and from right here, I can stand 1.1 inch away from the wall, and then I can do this. And I can threaten to move 19 inches in any direction from this model. I roll my 6 on the advance, I add 1 to the advance, I go 19 inches. My minimum threat is going to be 14 inches. I roll 1 on the advance, but that means I'm very easily extending my influence on this objective. I'm very easily extending my influence on this staging area. I'm very easily extending my influence up here as well, because I'm also +1 to the charge roll. So from right here, the average advance that I'm going to get is 17 inches, which means if I am standing here, my Sanguinary Guard can pop all the way over here and then still be +1 to charge, which means if my opponent's touching this objective, I am getting a 5-inch charge. This is one of the main reasons why this map is so brutally efficient for Blood Angels. Now, shooting armies love this map. There's no doubt about it. But the Blood Angels are going to be one of the melee armies that adore this map. Absolutely freaking adore it. Once again, one of the main knocks on the Blood Angels is, well, really Satan. And they can struggle into Imperial Guard as well. Because they have a big problem with, like, popping transports and then getting to the units on the inside. So that's a struggle that Blood Angels can have as well. But yeah, Blood Angels absolutely adore this because they're going to immediately go here, which means this unit can deploy here, but you don't have to because there is actually a really big firing line right here. So it's not necessarily where you want to deploy them. But luckily, Dante is so damn fast with the +1 to advance that you can deploy them right here, perfectly safe. And they can guarantee touch here because they can just make it up there on a guaranteed advance. So you can deploy here in order to get here, turn 1. And that's how you play into deployment. That's why you don't deploy here and take a risk and potentially expose yourself to, like, I don't know, a Forge Fiend that wants to shoot you with a bunch of a flat damage 3 turn 1. Because you've done the work, you've identified that this is where you're going no matter what. So you might as well deploy where you're safe, where you know you can automatically get there no matter what. Because your minimum move is a 14-inch advance. And the furthest away guy would end up here, which means you're going to be perfectly freaking safe. Hopefully that part really landed for you guys. Hopefully that part really, really landed. Okay, so since I'm doing Blood Angels now, I'm going to have an Impulsor. And my Impulsor is going to deploy right here. Now, in this army, I have Incursors. And the reason why I have Incursors is so that my Impulsor can scout. I might actually do this a little bit different on this map, now that I think about it. Let's do this. I'm going to draw some lines for you guys, because actually this is a little bit more tricky. So here's my 12-inch rule for standard battle tanks. So I'm going to draw their line of sight. I don't care if my opponent shoots me from here. I'd rather he doesn't shoot me from all the way back here. So this is basically the lines of sights that my opponent is going to be able to draw to me. Turn 1, comfortably. Okay. So I don't want him to be able to draw line of sights comfortably. That's the whole thing. I don't really mind him being able to get to see me, but I don't want him to do it comfortably. Which means with my leader, my Blade Guard vets probably can't deploy here, which is sad. Because this would be an ideal place for them to deploy. Let's see if I can make this any better. Okay, no, I think I could do it. Yeah, okay, cool. So I can deploy them safely here. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so actually I could deploy this squad of Blade Guard vets right here, and they're not visible turn 1 to my opponent. They'd have to walk all the way out here. If they walk all the way out here, that means whatever relevant shooting they shoot with immediately dies to me. So I think I'm okay with that. Instead, what I would do is I'm going to put this impulsor over here, have the incursors embarked. That gives the impulsor a 6-inch scout move. Either they can scout forward or backwards. So I like to deploy it like this. Right, I put it here, and then I move it forward. It's 6 inches. So that I know no matter what, I can scout to safety if I go second. And then what I do is I've got these Blade Guard vets that are going to advance into the impulsor after the Blade Guard, or after the incursor scouts it. One squad of JPI, and they can probably pop in right here. I'm going to have one Ball Predator, one Gladiator Lancer. This actually might be a map where I reserve my Ball Predator. That's actually kind of possible. But I think I also might deploy him right here. Yeah, this is probably where I deploy the Ball Predator. So there's no way for my opponent to really shoot it unless they crawl all the way at the side to shoot the Ball Predator. At that point, and the Ball Predator is kind of disposable in my opinion. So I think I'm okay with my opponent exposing their scary shooting units to kill the Ball Predator. Okay. And then I have scouts. One squad of scouts is going to deploy right here, and 6 inches forward. So no matter what, they can scout backwards into safety if I go second, and they can go forward to move block the crap out of my opponent turn 1 if I go first. Then lastly, this squad would come down right here. There we go. Deploy right about there. I'm going to have Librarian Mephiston on the board. Homeboy deploys here. I love to send Mephiston straight to the center. That's what I like to do with him. Then I'll have a unit of JPI and the Sanguinor in reserves. Now, quick little cool trick about the Sanguinor. Sanguinor, this little happy boy has a very unique rule set. He's a lone op that also has the deep strike keyword. A lot of people think the Sanguinor is only good in melee matchups, and they're super wrong. The Sanguinor is actually really, really amazing and incredible on maps like this one. On maps where literally no one can touch the middle objective, because this is truly a no man's land. Because I get to look at the map when my opponent's movement phase is over, and I can actually rapid ingress the Sanguinor to touch right here. And if my opponent doesn't have devastating shooting, 12 inches away from the Sanguinor right here, I can control this objective, and my opponent can't shoot him. I cannot tell you how many top players I have played that have forgot that you can rapid ingress the freaking Sanguinor. Everyone expects you to always be bringing him into melee when they charge you. But once you've identified where your opponent is standing at the end of their movement phase, you can actually tell if your opponent's planning to charge you, or if your opponent is just setting up shooting lanes. And if they're just setting up shooting lanes and they don't have anyone close enough, bro, just freaking rapid ingress onto the objective, score your 5 primary, and get a massive advantage on the game. At that point, you can set him forward to go kill something, or you can just pop him backwards and keep him perfectly safe. This rapid ingressing the Sanguinor is low key one of the strongest freaking things that you could ever do. Let me see some things here. If single tournaments seem unfun due to the I got a question here from Pat Noon. If single tournaments seem unfun due to the current meta, does it make more sense to switch to teams or another play mode? I mean, if you're not having fun, dude, you should do something that's more fun. I would argue that single tournaments probably aren't fun because you're just not quite figuring out how to run your army of choice. And, bro, we could work together. We can figure that one out. The only other reason why singles would be unfun is if like the meta is currently busted and there's just one army that is so much better you can't compete against it. But that's not the case right now. Um, so yeah, I would say that it's probably because you're just not your army's just not clicking. So dude, give me a shout. We'll work on it. We'll fix on it. But and that is the goal. And this is all right. I'm gonna take a quick aside, guys. Sorry, I know we're here for deployment and like tournament prep, but this is actually a really really important subject. So you have to remember that this game we play because we freaking love it. We love this game, and it's fun, and it's where we get all of our community and all of our social aspects of our lives in. Guys, I'm 35 freaking years old, and I'm balding, okay? And I work from home. The only place I even see human beings is when I go to the gym to train or when I go to the grocery store and I have my headphones on because I don't want people to talk to me. All of my freaking friends play Warhammer, and I'd be willing to bet a huge proportion of you guys in the crowd right now, all of your friends play Warhammer. This is how we as adults make freaking friends and enjoy life. Like, you should enjoy Warhammer. If you're having trouble in getting joy out of your game right now, figure out how to get joy. Like, if singles isn't doing it for you, hell yeah, go play teams. If you need to take 3 months break to go play AOS, go play AOS for 3 freaking months, man. But most of the time, if you're not having fun, I have found when I've worked with people who are dealing with this, it's because their army just isn't clicking for them, and they think that they have to do the popular meta thing in order to get by, but they're not using units they like, they're not using things that they're passionate about. This is never the case. You can always bring your own flavor of army that you enjoy and do well with it. There is not a single army in the game that I cannot go 3-2 at a GT with. I guarantee you give me any army in the game, give me a week or two with it, I will be able to get 3-2 at a GT with it. And that's not just me bragging about how good I am. That is me showing what you can do with an actual army. If it's your army, you should be better, and you will be better than I am with it. I promise you that. You can make it. There is no reason for that other than you're just stuck in a rut because you've been hearing the talking heads on YouTube tell you your army sucks and you've got no chance or whatever. It's all BS. It's not true. Man. Freaking Folger Piles just went like freaking... What was it, like 6-2 with Imperial agents at Adepticon, or was it 7-1 or something? He just used the army correctly. We just got to figure out how for you to get the army run correctly, and you're gonna have more fun with, man. It's just the way it is. Like, the cool thing about Warhammer is that this game doesn't get stale. Every 3 months, you get a new balance status elite. Every 3 months, you get more points. Every 3 months, there's new rules. There is a new problem to solve. When Inari was busted, I liked it. I had a lot of fun because every single aspect of my brain was dedicated to figuring out how to defeat this new problem. And I came up with some ways to defeat that problem. As a matter of fact, I crushed Inari with it. With some off-meta shit, which, you know, you had to make, but that's okay. So, sorry for the rant there. But I just find that us enjoying our hobby is so important that if you're having a struggle with it, we got to figure out that struggle, man. And sometimes it is the game. Like, every now and then when I finish the WTC, I actually do need a break. Like I do need to take, like, I know the first year I did the WTC, I actually took, like, a 2-month break to go play AOS. It was so good for me. AOS was a lot of fun, and I also realized that I thought it was a terrible competitive game. But I had so much fun with it, it reset my enjoyment for tabletop games. And then I was able to hop right back into 40k and had an absolute freaking blast. So anyway, let's go to our map here. Blood Angels absolutely love this. Well, they don't absolutely love it. They like it. They're okay with it, right? They're okay. So I'm just going to give them a line. Orcs, I can tell you right now, do not like this deployment because they don't have anywhere to go. Solar Spearhead thinks it's okay. Dark Angels actually like it. And I'm just going to give you a brief overhead because I know this is getting a little bit long, and I want you guys to get to the other map as well. The reason why Dark Angels do like this deployment is because Dark Angels can get away with putting Deathwing Knights right here. Because we can touch right here. and that's okay. We're durable enough that I don't care what you shoot me with. It doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna have to dedicate so much shooting to get rid of a unit of Deathwing Knights that's -1 to be wounded in cover with armor attempt and -1 damage and a 4 field of pain against mortals. That it's a ludicrous amount that you have to dedicate in shooting into them. So like, I will hold this, and if I'm standing over here on this table, I've got lean in aggression. So if you touch it and you come anywhere near me, I'm going to be able to lean and aggress into you, which means you're relegated to only being able to stand right here if you want to put OC on the objective, which is a big problem for people. So, and I can always rapid ingress the lion to touch the objectives and stuff with loan up. Right here is another place where the lion can actually rapid ingress. He can stand right here while my Phobos lieutenant is behind the wall, giving him loan up. That's a big problem. And if the lion is standing right here, you kind of have to try to kill him, and that means that you're going to try to guarantee a kill on a T9 -1 to be wounded, 3-up armor, 3-up invulnerable save, 2-up armor save in cover, because you're going to do the BS where you rotate your sword right here, so you'll have cover as well, and you can also give him armor contempt and a 4-up field of pain against mortals. And if you whiff into that, you lose the game. So Dark Angels like this map. They're like one of the few melee armies that's actually going to like this map. So Orcs don't like it. Blood Angels are fine with it because they're fast enough. Solar Spearhead's fine enough because they're fast enough and durable enough, and they are kind of a shooting army. Dark Angels are a melee army that actually likes this map. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The next one is pretty simple. It is still GW2, but it is Search and Destroy. Search and Destroy, I can just tell you right now, every single melee army loves Search and Destroy. Search and Destroy, even though it's Scorched Earth, is so dang good for melee armies. How do I delete these freaking lines? Let's answer it. Look, you can deploy a freaking Land Raider right here. If you have Vindicators, you can deploy them right here. They're perfectly safe, and they can just step right out and see the entire freaking map and obliterate. Perfect staging point for your shooting. You can also just deploy your freaking Deathwing Knights on the table, advance them right here, turn 1 to stand right here, and then in turn 2, you just spend your CP to give them an advance and charge and go take your opponent's natural expansion. It's a big problem. You can have your ICC, and they deploy on the table, and they just walk right into the staging point. They don't even have to advance for it. They just stand there, and that's where they need to go. Scouts start here. You got guys holding your own natural expansion. And then you're only 18 inches away from your opponent's deployment zone. So if I have my ICC standing right here, at any point in time, I can advance them up and really get them in a bad position. Every melee army loves Search and Destroy on GW2. It is disgusting. If I'm playing Orcs, let me show you what Orcs have for this. This is absolutely filthy. All right. I can just put a battle wagon right here. Like, that's brutal. That is filthy how powerful this is to just put a battle wagon right here. My other battle wagon can just go like, I don't know, here. So what I could do turn 1 is I could just advance my battle wagon to stand here. There's literally nothing your opponent can do to interact with you. Absolutely nothing your opponent can do to interact with you. And now I can just feed units out one at a time to forever deny your natural expansion. I can also have like a unit of whatever standing here, like Knob standing here, that can just get out and go annihilate whatever you put in your natural expansion or your natural staging point. Gaz and crew can stand into the middle until they're ready to rush the entire board. It's disgusting for Orcs. Orcs love this deployment. So I'm just going to put a big fat check mark against all these. Solar Spearhead is going to get only a 1 check mark. So we're going to go boom and boom. Beautiful. Only 1 because Solar Spearhead, they just don't necessarily have the melee pressure, but they are still a good army. Cool. So that's GW2 on Search and Destroy. Let's see here. I'm just going to catch up with chat here for a second, guys. Oh, you know what? My beer's empty. Everybody, I'm going to take 30 seconds. I'm going to go grab a beer. Someone, so just like interchange yourselves. Type in the chat, like, I don't know, who would win in a fight, me or Steven Bucks? Love you, Steven. The freaking benefit of having a refrigerator in your home office. Gotta love it, baby. Mr. Picklesful, nah, I don't like having fun solving problems. I prefer bitching about broken armies on Reddit. Bro, I love you. That's hilarious. That's actually really funny. And then Vulcan Grills wants to know why Lena Akavi is so terrible. Bro, it's so terrible because it tastes of communism. All right, my shit eating grin is done now. Sorry about that. What's up, Vulcan? I love you, man. Good to see you, buddy. Bloodstone Fortress says it feels like every balance update is a new puzzle to solve, and that's the fun part. Bro, I totally agree with you. That's what it is. I mean, it's just that's what we're doing, man. We're solving unbelievably complex puzzles constantly, and it's super, super fun. All right. Genocide says, okay, now I have to take the army that I've got the least chances. Bro, I actually want the golden ticket, so I've kind of like thrown the last two GTs I went to because I was trying to like prove points, make armies that people think suck work, and I was successful, but I ended up losing in the finals in them, so it's like, I would like to win one. I haven't won one this year, so I'm going to take an army that gives me a good chance to win. Unless you want to super chat me like a lot. Like a lot, and then maybe I'll take freaking Imperial Agents. But you gotta super chat me like a lot. Oh man. Okay, so let's get on to the next one. Let me pull it up. Was this one where we went to when we went to GW7? I gotta pardon me guys, I'm pulling up the Crucible. Yeah, so now we go to tipping point, take and hold. All right, so now we're getting back into really, really strong melee maps. If you've noticed, these maps are extremely melee favored, like extremely, and that's really cool. So we're tipping point here on GW7. I don't know if you guys have played much GW7, but a couple things that we really have to recognize about GW7 here. Let me take a big, nice drought, quench my thirst. All right, guys, what are the rules? What's the first thing we look at when we look at a map? Type it in. Type it in. I've asked it a bunch, okay? The number one thing that we look for is staging points. Staging points are where we can stand safe from shooting, but still able to extend our influence on the battlefield. This is clearly a staging point, and this is a staging point. This is not a staging point because this is open. You can kind of get a single model right here a little bit, so maybe you could argue this is a little bit of a staging point, just because, like, if your opponent wants to shoot you, you can kind of stand safely-ish here from that angle, but it's pretty grody. So this is your staging point, because your opponent can't really shoot you here. They would have to come out to shoot you, and they definitely can't shoot you from this angle. So you have a staging point right in front of your opponent's natural expansion, and you've got a staging point right here. These are your two primary ones. This is a good melee map. Remember, the way we win this game is you win by scoring victory points. It doesn't matter if your opponent tables you if you score more victory points, which gives melee armies the advantage when it comes to scoring, even though shooting armies have the advantage when it comes to killing. This is why I'm a melee pressure player. Also, I mean, I was an MMA fighter, and I fought Muay Thai, and I freaking taught people close combatives when I was in the army, and I just like fighting. So that probably has to do with why I like melee as well. But, all right, so we've identified our staging points. So when we look at deployment, we have to figure out how the heck do we get here, and how the heck do we get here. This is actually a really far distance. It's hard to get here from deployment. Like, this is not easy to get. If I deploy right here, I'm wide open on the sides for my opponent to blast the crap out of me if I go second. You can't really deploy here, not unless you have loan up. So you got to deploy from here. If you're deploying here, in order to get to your natural expansion, it's going to be 7 inches. But if you want to be safe, you got to get like 10 inches at least. This is not easy to do through a wall. The amount of things that move 10 inches through a wall comfortably is like jetpack, just basically jetpack units. Like, it's almost exclusively that, or perhaps Solar Spearhead, where Custodian Dreadnoughts can move through walls. Right? That's a way of doing it. This one is much easier to get to, but still not really easy. So if we look at this, remember the rule: we look at battle tanks. Battle tanks on average move 10 to 12 inches. So we'll go 12 inches and we'll draw the line. So as long as I'm behind this line, I am safe from shooting. But Desolation Marines can stand here. Or, well, I guess I'm just doing lines right now. We'll talk about individual armies in a moment. So these are the big lines that we have to pay attention to. And then obviously we have like this cross line as well. So there's a lot of shooting lanes on this map. But if you can get to your staging points, you're in an amazing position as a melee pressure army. If you can't get to your staging points, you're screwed. And you basically just lose. So no matter what army we bring, we have to make sure that we can actually get to the staging points here. So which of these armies that I've identified here are going to be able to get there? Well, this is actually really hard for me to get my Dark Angels here. Let me demonstrate. This is actually a tough one for the Dark Angels. If I deploy here, and I go 5 inches, if I roll a 1 on the advance, I'm a sit and duck. It's really bad. Which means if I play Dark Angels here, the only way I really get to this is if this is where I'm using my turn 1 deep strike, which it very well could. Like that is actually the solution. So if I brought the Dark Angels, then this is where I would do the turn 1 deep striking Deathwing Knights. And if this is where I'm going to do the turn 1 deep striking Deathwing Knights, then this is where I have to put at least the Phobos Lieutenant in order to block the landing zone for it. This squad would probably start on the board right here. And in my first turn, I would advance the squad to be right here. Right? And then I hope that when I'm trying to get here, I get a good advance. It's not the greatest plan to hope you get a good advance to get here. So as you can see, Dark Angels don't necessarily have the best answer on this particular map. Because getting here and getting here is quite hard. And where do you stage the inner circle companions? Well, you would have to have an impulsor. The only way the Dark Angels like this map, is if you have a transport. And the list that I'm running right now doesn't have a transport. So if I want to bring the Dark Angels to this tournament, I'd have to probably have a transport list, which is going to dramatically change what I'm bringing. This is a problem. So hopefully you guys understand this. So this is actually a table where I'm going to give the Dark Angels a fat single check mark, because I can still get to these places, but it's freaking hard. Of course, once I do get here, I just win the game. That's the trick, right? I kind of just win the game when I do get here. So getting here is kind of a win, which is why I'm not going to say it's a bad map, but it's a tough map. All right. Let me talk about some of these other armies that we have here. Solar Spearhead likes this map. I can have a Clades Gravity Tank. I can have a Clades Gravity Tank. And a Telemon. I can have another Telemon. I can have a Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought. Actually move this guy out of the way so I get a Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought right here. I can have, this guy probably goes in reserves. Witch Seekers. That if I go first, they can probably just scout into this little pocket, so they're perfectly safe from the shooting angle. Or if I go second, and if I go first, they might just go get me like an area denial or something. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I can have a Telemon Heavy Dreadnought. Probably hangs out here. Prosecutors. Witch Seekers. Maybe this Telemon actually goes here, now that I think about it. Yeah, that's where he goes. This Telemon goes right here. Because turn 1, you're just dedicating yourself to spending the CP to advance him and move him through the wall. Witch Seekers are probably going somewhere like this. And you're probably just stacking the other dreads behind. This guy's going in reserves, and Prosecutors probably just standing here to screen stuff. That's probably how we're doing this map. This. I'm actually really curious what you guys think. I'm going to take a hot minute to drink beer. I want you guys to type in the chat if you think this is a good or bad deployment. I'm curious to hear what you think, because then I'm going to like respond based off of your guys' thoughts. I'm going to tell you whether I think you're correct or wrong. So take like a minute, just type down if you think this is a good map for the Solar Spearhead or a bad map. Remember, the Dreadnoughts get +1 to advance. They also get a stratagem to move through walls here. Oh, delicious nectar of the gods. Freaking watched Anchorman again the other day. My wife called me an idiot, and I had much joy. Much joy. Anchorman is one of the greatest movies ever made. I won't hear anything to the contrary. So, basically, this is an incredible deployment map for Solar Spearhead. At any point in time, I can just, if I go first, I just move straight through here. And there's literally nothing my opponent can do to stop me from controlling this objective. I can advance my dreads up here. If my opponents want to kill me, they have to shoot me to death. And then I resurrect, and then they have to charge me to death. Which means I'm always going to have something that later on can just come here. My Telemon can fit through this. Maybe he actually can't fit through this hole. That's actually a problem. If he can't fit through that hole, then that's a big issue. It means that I have to spend a CP to walk him through the hole. Yeah, that's actually a big issue. That might actually change things for me. But the Caladius gravity tank can still fit through because of the base size. So I have great shooting lanes for the Caladiuses to take advantage of. I can definitely get to the objectives. This actually makes me not like it quite as much, which means I'm probably going to have to expose myself or deploy back here going first. So I would say this is a good map. I wouldn't say this is the best map ever, but this is probably a good map for the Solar Spearhead. Being able to get here and get here is something that's really, really, really powerful. Being able to just advance through the wall, even if I can't walk through this hole, I can still advance through the wall with this guy in another turn. And he can just stand here. I mean, he's -1 damage. He's got a 5-up Feel No Pain. He gets stronger the more damage he gets. That's a problem for your opponent to deal with. This is actually a good map for the Solar Spearhead. I'm gonna give them a good rating here. So they have 2 check marks, 2 fines. I'm gonna give them 1 more check mark. We've already given the Dark Angels a single slash here. Orcs, it's gonna be a single slash. Blood Angels get a big fat check mark here. The reason why Blood Angels get a big fat check mark here is basically everything we said. If you can get from here to here, and you can get from here to here, you're golden. Just because of these lines that are drawn. Well, what army moves 12 inches, has advanced charge, and moves through freaking walls? Blood Angels, guys. I can easily jump from here to here. I can easily jump from here to here. It's super easy. This is an incredible map for the Blood Angels. It's a decent map for the Orcs. It's a good map for the Solar Spearhead. It's a decent map for the Dark Angels. And then we have 1 more map to go. I love this last map. Well, I actually kind of hate it, but I love that we're getting to play it because it's just, I've never done it before, so it's new. We are playing Crucible of Battle on GW7. I believe it's taken hold. Let me check. Let me check that. I want to double check that real quick. Terraform, Crucible of Battle. This is a bizarre table for me. This is absolutely bizarre. And this is why I might not be able to bring Dark Angels. Because how the heck do I get to these places? I mean, yeah, I want to turn 1 Deep Strike here. But it's going to be very challenging for me to influence my opponent's natural expansion. I just don't know how I get there. I can't stage here because my opponent can just like literally do this. But I guess fair play. Then they'd be exposing themselves to my units, which is going to be lean aggression from here. Okay, never mind. Maybe it's not as bad for Dark Angels as I thought. I'm glad I'm looking at this. What's the here? Okay. All right. I automatically don't hate this as much. See, this is good exercise for me. So hopefully that's good for you guys. Gosh, this is so bizarre. Has anyone here ever played this? All right, man. Let's go through it. Because as of right now, let's see. We have 1 good check mark, 2 good check mark, 1 bad map, 1 good check mark, 1 fine. 4 good check marks, 1 fine. 3 good check marks, 2 fines. 2 fines, 3 good check marks. So right now, that's where we're sitting at. Okay. We got to figure out who has good check marks on this map. Who? All right, well, let's figure this one out, and then I'm going to start wrapping the stream up after I figure this bad boy out. These guys are going to turn 1 deep strike here, which means I have to secure this landing zone with my Phobos Lieutenant. Oh, jeez, I might just have to reload my units in here. Here's a Common Lieutenant. He's going to be basically pretend he's a Phobos Lieutenant so that he'll secure the landing zone for me. I'm going to have this squad of Deathwing Knights. I think they got to go in reserves here because I'm tempted to deploy them here so that I could just advance, but I don't think that works. So I'm going to have them in reserves, which I hate doing. I'll have my ICC. And they're honestly probably just going to stand here. And they'll probably end up moving up to be like right here. This is honestly not that bad a place to stand. This is actually... Oh, hey, there's the Phobos ulti. This is not that bad place to stand. Because once again, it'll enable the rapid ingress for the Lion to touch the objective and get me primary. If my opponent gives me the opportunity to do so. So, okay, that's probably where the ICC want to be. And they're going to turn... And they're going to move there, turn 1. Lancer's probably going to hang out here. From here, he can go through, poke his nose out, and shoot anything on that angle, anything on this angle. He'll be able to pop down here, shoot down this angle. So this is the control point for the Lancer. Fair play, we like it. Incursors go reserves. Dezos stand here. Now, the cool thing about the Dezos here is that it's super easy for them all to be reaching your opponent's natural expansion. Very, very easy. And it's also very easy for them to continuously screen your entire backfield. Lion just stands wherever the hell you want because he's got loan up, so you don't care. And then scouts. This is tricky. I guess this is probably where I wanted to draw the line, huh? It's tricky, tricky, tricky. There's no good place to deploy your scouts on this map. Which, honestly, probably means my scouts just deploy here, and I uppy-downy them to give me mission play. Yeah, that's probably how I do it. Either that, or I deploy them in a line here. And then my opponents can walk out to shoot them if they want. Now, this is actually a reasonably decent idea. And the reason for that is if you look how far this distance is, if your opponent wants to bring like a Vindicator or something, they're going to have to stand right here to actually shoot you. So I call this bait sometimes. Sometimes I'll give you one of my units, but it forces you to stand in a certain position to do it. And I only do that when I don't have great deployment locations. Now, I could, of course, put the scouts up here. This is a totally reasonable place, which means that I could also turn 1 move block. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Never mind. Yep, they're going to be there to turn 1 move block for my... If my opponent puts all the tanks there here, then I'm just going to turn 1 move block the crap out of them with my scouts. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. I like that more. Yep, that allows my Phobos Lieutenant to go here. I'll start him up here. His scout move can either go get me a tempting target, or I can just scout back to safety. All right, that's what I'm doing. Problem solved. Thank you, guys. Mental cognitive is done. This is why I prepare for tournaments. Does this make sense for everyone? And that's the deployment, man. If I can control this, if I get the turn 1 deep strike, this is a great map for me. If I don't, it's a real problem. It's a real problem. This is a tricky map to deploy on. I don't like it with the Dark Angels. It's fine. All right. The map mod, just for Adrian Leo Matteo. Oh man, the map mod. I think this is the Dark Crusade map mod. It's if you're a member of our Discord, which all of you guys should be members of the Happy Crumpet Discord, so that we can talk, we can nerd out like crazy in a positive way, because actually, shockingly and surprisingly, but we all actually like our hobby, so we like to talk, about cool shit in our hobby and not just bitch and moan the entire time. Then I have it linked under TTS resources. But yeah, so this is the Black Crusade mod. But you can also just find it on the workshop for Steam Workshop. So no problems with that. All right, let's look at Blood Angels here. So I'm starting to think that this is really a Blood Angels game. Oh, man. I'm just going to... Screw it. I'm just going to reload my army. Here we are. I got too many models on the field. Got to reload my stuff. Clean it all up. Guys, after I finish this one, I've been talking for like almost 2 hours. So I think I'm going to start wrapping the stream up. So if you guys have specific questions, you can start popping them in now. I'll take a look at them after I finish this last deployment. I'll go through it and I'll hit as many as I see before I take off. So if you got questions and stuff, go and start getting them in. Okay, so basically the whole story is, how do I get there? Very easy. Just deploy Dante's crew down. They're going to get here. Super happy. I have a scouting impulsor. This is actually better. So on this map, actually, I'll have my fight first Blade Guard veterans with, where's my chaplain? Oh, here he is. So I got my fight first Blade Guard veterans standing roughly here. I can have my scouting impulsor deployed right here. So if I go second, impulsor can scout back. So let's see. He could deploy here because only 6-inch scout. He can scout backwards to safety if I go second. If I go first, I can scout forward. Get the incursors out 3 inches. Then they can advance to stand right here. Blade Guard jump in. Move the impulsor on the objective. If my opponent moves out to destroy my impulsor, then the fight first Blade Guard vets get out. You can't charge fight first Blade Guard vets. That's just not a good idea. I like that. That works really well. So this is a great deployment stage right here for all these models. Perfect. I like that a lot. That's really, really good. Dante and crew. Probably just stands here until they jump all the way up here. I mean, I hate that, though. That exposes the crap out of them. Which means they probably go to the center, kind of like how the ICC did for the Dark Angels. So they're going to come stand in this pocket. Once again, projecting with their enormous threat range. Yeah, that's probably how they have to do it. Other way is I could string them right here to make this where they deploy. And then have the rest just kind of back here. And that way I can really cover my opponent's natural expansion. That's another way I could do it. So throw Dante over there on that side. That could work. Sanguinor in reserves, JPI. Come stand here. I don't care about people moving up here to shoot me, because if they do that, then I'm going to obliterate very early. Lancer can sit back here. Ball Predator is here to go do nonsense. Blood Angel Scouts. Tricky with the Blood Angel Scouts, isn't it? I think I probably do go for the double deployment. 1 JPI in reserves. Calidus on the field. Sang Priest. And also Mephiston. I think I would deploy Mephiston on... Yeah, Mephiston is right here. He's going to be running forward to touch the objective. All right. And these are the Blade Guard vets with the Sang Priest. Man, for this map pack, I think I'm just going to have more Sanguinary Guard. Because this unit is just so hard. I didn't see a single map that I could really effectively utilize this squad. So I think, screw it. If I run Blood Angels, Blade Guard vets are out. Second Sanguinary Guard squad is in. Only one unit of Blade Guard vets can really be supported, which breaks my soul, or hurts my soul, because I'm with Sanguinary Priest being able to lead Blade Guard vets. I love them now. And that would put these guys in reserve. And this is actually really nice. So the plan here would be scout forward, grab. Yeah, okay. This is a good deployment zone for Blood Angels, but it's tricky. I'm going to give Blood Angels the 4th. I got just the orcs left, huh? It's too hard for the orcs. Orcs can't get here reliably. Yeah, orcs don't like it. They can't get here reliably. You could spend CP for Irigo to get Gaz up here, but then he's just going to get shot to pieces. Orcs can't do this. Dang. I really wanted to bring orcs. Unfortunately, it's another negative. Man, I think that's pretty clear, isn't it? It's either Dark Angels or it's going to be the Blood Angels. But Blood Angels is 5 check marks, 1 line. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about it all? That is crazy. All right. Calgar wants to know if I can make a video looking at some of the UKTC terrain maps. Maybe. The reality is I've got such a packed content schedule right now. I'm not sure if I would get to them. UKTC maps. I actually really like UKTC maps. I kind of hate UKTC rules, but I like UKTC maps. So, okay. Now you know how good each army is deploying on each map. How do you take the projected opponent's armies into account now to definitely make your choice of army list? That's a great question. All right, Genocide. This is a great question. Let's address this. All right. Great freaking question. So, when I look at the meta, what are the armies that are of concern? Well, Necrons are still good, but they're nowhere near what they were a few weeks ago. Satan are very expensive now. Which one of these armies handles Satan? Orcs crush Satan. They don't give a shit about them. Dark Angels out OC them. They don't care. Solar Spearhead does not like Satan, but they do have enough focus firepower where they can get through them. Blood Angels despise Satan. They get hard countered by it. So let's do a different checklist. So this is deployment. Let's do it like this. This is actually a really good in-depth question. So I'm going to spend a lot of time answering this one. So I'm going to put a blemish for them. Orcs love. Fine. What's the next meta threat? The next meta threat probably going to be Grizzled Company. Grizzled Company is still freaking awesome. Everyone loves Grizzled Company. Right? It's still really, really strong Astral Militarum. Blood Angels are fine with it. Orcs generally love it. Solar Spearhead does not like it. They've got enough of the anti-tank. And the Dark Angels, from my experience, like it. Okay. What's the next one we got to really worry about? It's really the Defiler menace. And the problem is we don't have the data on who handles Defilers. That is the issue. I will tell you that if we're seeing Defilers in things like Emperor's Children, well, Dark Angels freaking love Emperor's Children, and Blood Angels love Emperor's Children. Blood Angels, in my experience, I know a lot of people disagree, but every time I've played it, and Dark Angels both love World Eaters. So I'm going to put 2 check marks next to those Defilers. Orcs really like World Eaters, but I think Defilers make it a much harder matchup for them, so I'm going to put a neutral. Emperor's Children, Orcs are like fine with as well. Emperor's Children are really fast, but Orcs fight on death into them. It really ruins their party. Solar Spearhead hates World Eaters. So I'm putting an X. And honestly, they really don't like Emperor's Children. So you can see how like the formula I'm coming across now. I know in my local meta, we've got a very good T-Suns player who's bringing double Defilers. So, into T-Suns, Orcs are quite good. Solar Spearhead, which has no mortal wound protection, quite bad. Dark Angels, who has all the mortal wound protection in the world, generally pretty damn good at T-Suns. Blood Angels, no real mortal wound protection to be spoken of, but are so darn fast that the T-Suns really only get 1 shooting activation. Neutral. And that's how I walk through it, man. so you guys get the gist of it. Basically, I just identify all the little things. But for me, it's really seeming like I think Blood Angels might be the way to go for this tournament. I just got to figure out if I'm comfortable rolling the dice on those Satan, because they're really, really bad into Satan. Which might make me consider my Assault Centurion's Blood Angels build. So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one and reevaluate some of the army list. But this is my method, guys. This is how I walk through. This is how I learn the deployments. This is how I see what is viable and what's not viable. Now, what I'm realizing, just because of maps, I got 2 bad maps for orcs. I don't think the orcs can cut it. I mean, 1/3 of the tournament are just really bad maps for the orcs. It just doesn't seem like a good plan, even though the orcs have good meta matchups. The Solar Spearhead actually has good map, but they have really bad meta pairings. Which means it comes down to Blood Angels and it comes down to Dark Angels. Blood Angels are slightly better on the maps. Dark Angels are slightly better on the meta matchups. That's how it works. Hopefully this was good for you guys. Hopefully this was good. Got a couple more questions here. Shin asked, what about the Death Guard Defiler? I have no thoughts and opinions on the freaking Death Guard Defiler, bro. I think it's definitely the worst of all the Defilers. It doesn't mean it's bad, but I don't think it really changes the army at all. Adam Skinner says, hello, my favorite person. Adam Skinner, you're a beautiful man. I've got a jersey that has your name on it. And that's fantastic. I was wearing it the other day. People looking at me like I was a soccer hooligan. All right, guys, I think I'm going to go and close this bad boy down. Hopefully this was super helpful for you all. If it was helpful, please share it with your friends. The only way I grow and the only way I get to do more and more of these things is with y'all's love and support. So thanks so much for all of your time. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with me. This one's for you. And with that, every single party person in the world, wa on, crump on, and have a lovely